Hey, 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 how's it going, everybody? This is Have You Seen This? I'm one of the hosts, Daniel, and I'm here with my ever present co host, Snark. In the back, we got our producer, Dave, as always. And we've got some fun topics today. But first, how you doing, Snark?
I'm doing fine. How are you? Everyone, pay no attention to Dave. He's got secrets that he's told only me, and they are disturbing and horrifying.
Harrowing.
Eh, you know, how have you
His
been,
origin
Daniel?
story is wild.
What? Oh my God!
Dave's origin story? No, 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 I can't talk about it. I can't. Spoilers, spoilers.
God damn it! Come on.
Yes. So yeah, I've been pretty good. I've been trying to catch up on a bunch of different shows that we've been speaking about on this show, as well as I I think I've binged about 35 to 40 episodes of You're the Worst already since it dropped. Yeah, in the last week and a half or so.
Holy shit!
So that's a lot.
Well, I haven't seen anything like that. I binged the show we might be talking about in a little while. Reacher, of course, which I thought was fantastic. I watched an episode of one of the shows we'll be talking about in a little bit. But it's been a pretty busy weekend with the Olympics and stuff going on. Trying to catch up with that as much as I can. We're Canadian. This is our time. This is our time. God damn it! It's time to watch some
Yeah.
goddamn luge.
Yeah, and some interesting stuff. But I guess we could talk about hockey a little bit. It's on television, right?
It's television.
uh, and yeah, I heard that like both Canada and the U.S. had their women's hockey teams compete in full masks, and they both won their games.
The only thing I know about that is that someone from the Russians didn't bring their tests in on time against Canada, so they didn't want to play it. They postponed the game by an hour, and then they just agreed to Russia will play with their masks on, and so will Canada. So I'm not sure what happened with Americans, but I know that's what happened. I don't think they played like when Canada and the U.S. played. They weren't wearing masks.
No. And I can't remember what the issue was. Like I didn't look into it. I just heard that the Americans also played the Finns with both teams wearing masks.
Probably,
so
yeah, it's probably just the same kind of thing where
just not on time. Yeah,
they didn't get bring their tests in on time, I guess, and and in that bubble and what's at stake for them and stuff. So you be as cautious as you can.
Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting because there's gotta be like there's gotta be some issues with that, especially because the only thing I'm imagining is it like shifting because you're sweating, right?
Yeah.
And then it moves, and now you can't see properly, and you're wearing a cage because at this level and at this age, everybody in professional hockey is wearing a full cage.
You're right.
Yeah, and so you got a full mask in front of you, so you can't adjust anything. that must be
you're also on the ice for about 45 seconds or so. So
true.
There's time to get back. I'm just imagining the amount of towels they would go through would be.
All right. We better be interesting enough for Taco here.
Welcome to Canadian Corner, eh?
Hey. So, first, a little bit of news that I got here. Euphoria gets picked up for season 3. I actually have fallen behind on Euphoria. I finally finished the special episodes, and then I started watching season 2. but I think I got 2 episodes in and then had to start watching other things to cover them on a week to week.
Yeah.
But I really like that show. It's really fun. The thing I really wanted to talk about was how busy Zendaya is, for one. And I'm surprised that she's just working in so many different facets of the industry and just, I mean, mostly just killing it out there, but also, like, it must be quite a schedule.
I don't know too much about her. Like, I'm catching up on that show too. Like today, I watched the first episode, and that's it. That's all I've seen is one episode of that show. And you're saying fun. I don't think anybody in that show looks like they're having fun. And I don't think anybody actually smiled in that entire hour. Everyone is just dour all the time. So, I'll watch a little bit more of it. I'm not going to throw it in the trash or anything like that. But, people who use drugs are usually friendlier and happier. I know that there's shit going on in their lives and stuff like that, but yeah, we'll see. I'll see what happens as the show goes forward. But I don't know much more about Zendaya. I know that she's in Spider-Man. What else does she do? Like, I haven't seen anything else.
Yeah, I mean, she does like her own movies. She's not just a supporting actress, as she is in Spider-Man.
Right. Oh, I remember there's the one Netflix. There was one Netflix movie, I think, that she was in as well, right?
Yeah, and oh man, she was a Disney actress. I actually had forgotten about that.
Like
she
on
was in the Shake It Up series.
I have no idea what that is. None.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, like a bunch of different movies, as well as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She was in Dune and The Greatest Showman, among other things.
Oh, I haven't seen that one either. I wanted to see Dune. It's just, and it's not even a fact that I was, didn't want to go to a movie theater during COVID, but I put myself on this goddamn friggin' diet, and I can't trust myself to go to the movie theater and not eat a goddamn huge bucket of popcorn. So so I did it. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, was not go see that. I didn't see the Spider-Man movie yet either, same reason, because I just want to eat popcorn while in there. Goddamn. So I'll wait till they get here, and I'll eat celery or something fucking stupid like that. It's got to be pretty close. You know what? They're pretty close.
Delicious. Yeah, there's
popcorn and friggin' celery.
There's a lot of things that, like, I can forego when I'm at the movie theater. Like, I don't need to get a drink or a bunch of different snacks, but the popcorn, if I'm not if I'm walking in, and even if I know trailers are on now, if I can stand in line for popcorn in that time, I'm gonna stand in line.
Yeah. I don't care if I miss the trailers if I have to get popcorn. Like I would honestly feel odd sitting in a movie theater without popcorn. Like, I would probably just end up buying some popcorn and putting it in my goddamn lap. So it just wouldn't feel right. There's just someone wouldn't be comfortable.
Don't buy it. There's probably one on the floor.
Oh my god.
Just stick that one in your lap.
People think I'm a hobo. What are you gonna do?
I didn't say eat out of it.
Well, I'm not promising anything.
All right. But yeah, so yeah. We've got a Euphoria season 3 coming. I'm always curious also about shows that get renewed while in season. Especially, it's just, I remember that it happened sometimes multiple months into the off season of a show. You were sitting around wondering if it was coming back next year. And nowadays we get these renewals or cancellations like quicker than we used to.
Well, unfortunately, you and I were both fans of Community. So ever since the third season, we've had to go through this. So no, I'm used to having to wait to the very last moment and stuff like that. It's usually a show that I haven't been as much of a fan of gets picked up right away, or a show that I haven't seen. So, and usually by the time they do, it's like I start getting way behind on shows, and I just don't end up watching. But at least I took a step forward today, and I watched one episode of Euphoria. I'm not promising I'll be watching another one in the next week or so, but I may end up watching one at some point going forward. I did not hate the show. I just thought everyone seemed, kind of sad. And, I kind of like watching TV, so I don't have to watch people being sad. I like silly, stupid things. But that's just me. Obviously it's a popular show, so it's striking a chord with a lot of people. It just didn't strike a chord with a 47-year-old white guy in Canada, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I find it really fun, like, to look at some of the worst possible cases, because you don't need to pull so many punches when you're dealing with fictional characters and shit like that. So it's a lot easier to get into some of the much tougher topics and the like.
And it's, we're talking about, like, when I was that age, when I was 17, that was 1991. And the world has changed since then. I would, the way that, and I didn't live in a small town, but the way that things happen here in Winnipeg seem to be a lot different than things that would happen where it looks like in Los Angeles. That's for sure.
Yeah. So the next thing, I guess we can get into whichever one you want to. Like, which of you watch more of, Reacher or that Kristen Bell show, The Girl Across the Street from the Girl in the Window? What?
Okay.
Did I get that mostly right?
I think you got it mostly correct. I watched 2 episodes of that show, The Girl in the Window with the Wine and the Murders or whatever. So I don't think, I think they were still setting up stuff to happen. I don't know. For a spoof, I didn't think it was very funny, but I don't know if it was meant to. I don't watch those movies, so I have no point of reference. I don't know what they're spoofing yet. So I haven't enjoyed it as much as the other show, Reacher, which I watched in a sitting. I watched every episode. But there was parts that were fine, but that one I just don't get yet. Because I didn't watch The Girl on the Train and all that other stuff, so I have no idea what's going on yet. You watch any of it?
I actually haven't watched this one. I set it aside because it's a Kristen Bell show, and I will eventually watch it because I tend to watch most of the shows that she's in. I loved Veronica Mars, and like ever since then, it's just like, oh, like if there's a Kristen Bell show, I'm gonna check out a few episodes to see what it's about.
Right.
And I've only seen one of these movies, and it was I can't remember even which one it was, but yeah, it's like some dude, he's got a broken leg, and so he like takes some binoculars and he starts spying on all his neighbors, and then he notices a murder. And
that one that basically ripped off Rear Window. Yeah, Suburbia? Is that the name of it? I can't remember.
Something like that.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about anyways. No, I never watched that one either.
And yeah, so I'm familiar with the concept. I'm not super familiar with it. It's not is not a thing that I've like sought after, but I do want to check this out, mostly because I do like a good spoof, like one that takes its the thing that is spoofing seriously, at least.
I think he's doing that.
Like Austin Powers is a great example of a good spoof movie, and all the epic movie crap is a bad example of that. Where like Austin Powers, they take the piss out of James Bond and spy movies, but they are very good spy movies. Like everything they do that is like the spy genre, they do it well. They just also do it funny. And that's what I'm hoping out of The Girl Across the Street.
Well, I'll say from the first couple episodes, it's not like funny. It's not. I don't know how it's spoofing it. It's there's just something about it I don't get. I'll finish it this week, and we can talk about it maybe next week if you watch it. But there's just something about it I don't get yet, and I don't know if that means just like I just haven't gotten to the point where things are going to start making sense for me. But I just really don't get what's going on in that show yet. Especially when you think it's like it was marketed as a spoof, so you'd figure stupid things are going to happen. You know what I mean? Like you said with Austin Powers and stuff like that. It does not take it takes itself kind of seriously, but it's just silly jokes. There's nothing silly about this yet. I don't know. We'll see.
I have heard that it's not quite like a comedy, which like some people were expecting, especially looking at the star, because Kristen Bell generally does comedies, or at least things in that vein. And I there's too many things that should draw me in about it, and I'm kind of surprised that I didn't hear anything about it till it was on Netflix for several days already.
I'm thinking if spoof would be the right word, maybe like an homage to these kind of movies. Maybe that's.
See, I have heard spoof a couple of times from different people, so that's why I just kind of ran with it. But
okay. But again,
for now,
with no frame of reference, I have no idea.
I do hear that you have seen a good bit of this Reacher show.
Yep. And it was fantastic. It was nothing. It wasn't, it was an 80s action movie that lasted 8 hours and had a little bit to it in every episode and stuff like that. And I think that anybody who read the books, and I was not one of them, all they did was complain about how Tom Cruise was the wrong size for this guy. Well, they remind you every episode that this guy is the right size for this guy, because they, like there's somebody in every episode that talks about how big this guy is. And I guess he's 6'5" or something like that. He's a big dude. I have a brother that's 6'5". He's very big. I have a friend who's 6'7", who's much bigger than that, it seems, and stuff like that. But he just dwarfs. He literally dwarfs everybody else. So it's almost like you almost think of him as a superhero. He's just that big. He's that much bigger, stronger than everybody. But I thought it was I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. And have you watched any of it? You've watched none of it?
I watched a bit of the first episode. I kind of have trouble with these kind of characters. So I'm really not sure if I'm going to be watching Reacher. And I've picked up the books and tried to read them, and it's kind of the same issue. I find a lot of the and there's a couple of them. There's Jack Reacher, Tom Clancy, that kind of I want to call them all diehards. They're just kind of like action adventure, like just stuff happening. And why would you ruin my frickin' drop? I was about to say that, Dave. They renewed Jack Reacher for a season 2 yesterday. Yeah.
Well, there's only 8 episodes for you to catch up, Dan. See, I grew up like in the 80s with Schwarzenegger and Stallone and stuff like that, and those kind of movies. This is very much that. Maybe a little bit, lower key because they had to spread it out over 8 episodes. But they could have easily have put this in a 2-hour movie, I would assume. But they've stretched it out to a point where everything is enjoyable. There's nothing gripping about it. Like you're not edge of your seat, but I was entertained every episode. There was something to every episode. There wasn't just like a filler and stuff like that. There's and they do their flashbacky things and try and get people caught up in why he's like this and stuff like that. And some of the things were a little far-fetched, like why he was in the town and stuff like that. It's whatever. If you're not watching this for the plot of it all, you're watching to watch things blow up.
Yeah.
And watch guys' ankles get broken in half and stuff like that. That's what you watch this for.
Yeah, and
childhood stuff.
I don't know. It's just not a huge thing that I look for, and so I appreciate it. And like I'm not that upset that it's getting a season 2 or that it exists at all. It's just not something I'm going to be looking into, because I would much rather, if I'm just going to watch some big action, I would like to watch some random superhero show instead.
One nice thing about them going on to another season is because I guess there's been a bunch of these books, and the guys, Lee Childs is still alive or whatever. He's actually in one of the episodes. So there's plenty of content, and they can, bottle them. They don't have to, he did his arc in the one thing on, then, you go on to the next place, do an arc there, go on to another place. So nothing has to have this thread tying everything together. There isn't going to be a Reacher verse, I wouldn't think. I think it's just going to be bottle. And I can fully appreciate that. Like you can pick it up in any season kind of thing where it wouldn't matter, but you'd have to pick it up from the beginning. But you could, like, if you miss season 1 and want to start on season 2, fine. Like, what do you need to know about the guy other than he's big and that he was he did special ops and he was a cop for the military police. That's about all you need to know.
And that is, I guess, the issue is if there's a possibility that it goes in the opposite direction and you end up with like further seasons, he ends up, there's an out-of-towner in this season, and so he ends up in their town, and then things just start getting deeper and deeper. Like you don't want a Fast and Furious rabbit hole of like, next season he's going to the next town to follow to the next layer down. Like, no, I definitely wouldn't like that.
This show is definitely not about family. It's about almost anything but family going forward.
I actually meant more of how like all of the villains just seem to be an over extension of, and I think it eventually turns back to like one of the first villains is the ultimate villain, but I don't know. I would have to watch Fast and Furious to find out, and there's too many of them at this point.
I haven't watched them either, but as for the villains and stuff going forward, watch the show. You'll figure it out and stuff like that. It'll I just don't see a common thread going from movie to movie yet.
And just kind of a quick hit. I was just looking up to see, but not as I was saying last week, not a ton of new stuff dropping in February. We had a pretty big drop at the end of January and a few in that first week, but now I think most people have started to gauge around Disney. I assume is how this is happening. And so you don't want one of your shows premiering or ending around the time that a Disney Plus show is doing one of those things.
Right.
Like you want people to talk about your show online. You do not want it premiering or finaleing anywhere around Boba Fett.
Yeah. Well, you have such a tight window too. You got Boba Fett, and then what's the next TV show there's coming out? Is it
Moon Knight?
What's that? Yeah,
I
Moon
believe.
Knight's coming. Yeah. And then I think they said Obi-Wan in May or something like that. Is that right? Or June? I can't remember. But yeah, you have to kind of sandwich these things in. One thing I would have liked, again, it was fun watching every episode of Reacher in an afternoon/evening. But I would have been just as happy if it dropped once a week. Probably more happy. You get to actually talk about the episodes and stuff like that. Like or you can go back and watch it again and stuff like that if you want. But I can't trust myself. I just watched every episode because I enjoyed it. I had the time, so I watched it. But I enjoy waiting. But given the opportunity, I'm just going to watch. What do you prefer the Boba Fett style, or would you prefer Boba Fett to drop all at once, or do you enjoy having to wait a week?
I honestly would have to say that I like it being available, so I would rather have a full season than one episode at a time. And I'm pretty good at not watching everything. I will stop myself halfway through a season binge and go like, okay, I gotta stop this and pick something else up. Maybe I'll watch this next week, and maybe it's 2 short films at that point. But I am pretty good at not doing it. I've kind of been drawn to the Legend of Vox Machina version, and the League of Legends show dropped the same way of the batch drop.
Right.
Three episodes a week is kind of perfect. If you're the type of person who wants to sit down and binge 3, it's not too much. And if you want to spread that out, you can literally watch 3 episodes with 2 days in between each of them, and that is also a week.
That's one of the things I was surprised about with Reacher as an Amazon show. I thought that was their thing. It was like poop out a whole bunch at once, and then week to week after, give you a taste, like drug dealer, give you a taste. First taste is free, and then you got to wait for the next one. They did that with that, and then with Wheel of Time, I believe they did the same thing, where they put out 3 episodes at once or whatever. It's like, here you guys go. The Boys, I think they've done that before, where they've done a couple episodes at once and then said, here you go. So I thought that was their thing, and then Reacher just came all at once. So it's like, yeah, okay, I'll watch it all. I think also one of the reasons I may have watched every episode is I watched those first 2 episodes of the girl in the window with the wine and the taxi or whatever it is on the train. I watched the first 2 episodes of that, and I was like, well, maybe I'll try Reacher. And then I liked it so much that was it. That was the rest of the day. But I far prefer having to wait. I like that anticipation. I like having to wait to see what happens next. It's like when you some people can sit down with a book and just go over it every little, a few pages at a time, a chapter at a time, put it down. When I get a book or whatever, I want to read the whole goddamn thing. I'll try and take 2 days or something like that, and I'll read the book. And then figuring out through work and whatever else. But I would rather I enjoy the Boba Fett style, the Peacemaker style of just coming out an episode at a time, wait a week, talk about that last episode, have anticipation going forward, get to see the previews, what's happening next week and stuff like that, get your mind going. I'd much rather have that than a full binge on show where they release everything and then they're like, guys, if you want to watch it all, here it is. This makes it an 8-hour movie, which is fine, but you don't get like I wonder if Reacher is going to have the same talkability factor as, say, like another one of those shows, like a show that comes out weekly.
Also, there is something to be said about, like, it's slightly more taxing to do that sometimes too, to binge a television show, even if you were going to watch, like, we'll say 200 minutes, so 5 40-minute episodes and very close to a feature-length movie. Mm-hmm. And if you're watching the movie, you're gonna have one act 1, act 2, act 3, one climax, one big, like, resolution. But in the television side, you're gonna be going through, like, a smaller, like, up down, but 4 or 5 of them, and so it feels like you've watched many different shows when you do so. Like, especially if you're trying to retain a lot of that information and you are interested in the show, you get so invested that telling you 4 stories in 90 minutes is taxing.
Yep, for sure. I'm just wondering, like,
what I'm saying is it's easier to binge a thing you don't really like or that you've seen a million times because you can tune it out a bit.
Yeah, like I watched that the first season of Righteous Gemstones. I'd watched a couple episodes, and I watched the rest of that first season in a sitting. Again, it took 4 or 5 hours to watch it. I enjoy it now, waiting for the next episode. I wouldn't want to sit down and binge the Righteous Gemstones season 2. I'm enjoying catching up and watching it half hour at a time instead of 4.5 hours at a time. If you know what I mean. But the Righteous Gemstones is a really good show. They're just it's not, to spend 5 hours in their world at a time is a little much. And with Reacher, for some reason, it was easier. It's like dumber. It's not like there's this huge convoluted plot or anything to it. It's basically, you're, like we were saying, eating popcorn. Basically, it's television popcorn. You just eat it because it's there and you enjoy the hell out of it, but it's just popcorn. And then afterwards, I got fucking fat. No, I have to go on a goddamn diet. No Reacher for however long. What are you gonna do?
So, shall we, as we move along here, shall we talk about the book of Anyone But Boba Fett?
He was sort of there. Well, he made a guest appearance today on his own show.
He was slightly more in this episode than he was in last week's episode. Yeah. I'll give you that. But...
Whereas he appeared in it, and that's it. two lines like this again, and that's it. Yeah, well. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
are we spoilerizing this episode too, or no?
Talking Boba Fett, he has 0 lines. Isn't it a whole thing about them that they don't have a lot of lines now?
I guess so. You're right. Mandalorian's chatty Cathy compared to Boba Fett.
Yeah, Boba Fett had about as many lines in these last 2 episodes as he had in the first 6 episodes of the trilogies.
Talks more than Greedo. Actually, talks less than Greedo. Greedo's a little chatty. Greedo's the best one.
Yeah, that said, very great episode.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Like, what do you want?
I,
Like, it's like playing with fucking action figures when you're a kid. Like, it's unbelievable what they're being able to do these days. Unbelievable.
mm,
As soon as I saw that,
also,
go ahead.
I will say this weird deep fake technology they're using to make Luke.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to say that it works a lot better than artificially aging and de-aging people.
I thought it was
I
great.
Yeah, I find the copy paste just seems to work a lot better than trying to make someone older or younger digitally. I find all of those just seem to have a weird uncanny valley feel to them. But this just kind of seemed like it seemed a little bit off, and I'm happy that he doesn't do a lot of moving around. He gets to be like the Jedi Master, so he's supposed to be calm and wise and everything. But I do find they have been very impressive with this tech because
Well, there's
yeah.
that. Yeah. Like it was incredible. Like to look at it was incredible. And as soon as he landed or whatever, and I heard that beep bop beep or whatever, I bounced off of my couch. I go R2D2. My wife started laughing at me. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was pretty excited, and like to hear the sounds and stuff like that, and to see like a corporal R2D2 and stuff like that too. At least it looked like it was the actual R2D2 to me. I got very excited, and the stuff with Grogu and Luke was great. But yeah, I couldn't get over the Luke. I like you know what? People are gonna fucking bitch about anything. You know what I
You
mean?
know how it has to be R2? Because he turns off. Like those droids have like solar batteries, don't they? R2 only turns off because he wants to.
Yeah, I can't believe that people complain about the look of Luke Skywalker and this thing. It's like you guys have got to be fucking kidding me. This is unbelievable what they're doing, and this is a TV show. This isn't a movie. This is you're getting 5 minutes of a guy that hasn't appeared of that Luke Skywalker you haven't seen since 1983. That's a fucking long time, and to have it look like that, incredible. And it's Luke. Like it's not like people. So I like the Last Jedi. A lot of people complain about Luke and that one and stuff like that, saying it's not him. I think like it sounded like Luke. He acted like Luke. He was just calm and serene, like a Jedi, I guess, is supposed to be or whatever. Trains them the Yoda style way and with the jumping and stuff like that. And yeah, that like their own little Dagobah there, and you can see them building his little Jedi temple that they show in. What is that? Is that the Last Jedi they showed in that one too? I think so. Yeah. They show that being built, and like those little ant droid dudes. I don't know how he got so many of those things, but whatever. Yeah, it's a story about space wizards. Who gives a shit? Like who needs logic and stuff like this? Just enjoy it while you have it. It's great.
And speaking of space wizards,
oh boy,
is Ahsoka gonna be in more episodes? Or was she just making a cameo on a pit stop into her own series?
Here's the thing. I never watched any of those the Clone War shows. So the first time I ever saw that Ahsoka girl or whatever was in The Mandalorian. I've always heard the name and stuff like that, but I never really paid attention. But I don't think we'll see her in another one until her own show. But when are they making her show? So I've heard some big rumors about who might be showing up in this final episode that's dropping tonight. And I know, and supposedly he plays a part in Ahsoka story, but I knew him from books in the 90s. So I don't understand. I don't understand how they fit. But I guess if I would have watched the cartoons or whatever, then things would make more sense to me. But I wasn't. The cartoons are the
And
cartoons.
yeah, I've got to admit, like, I haven't even seen enough of them to really have a grasp. Most of my love of Ahsoka is just the cool way she wields two lightsabers. Like,
Oh,
and one, they're special colored lightsabers, which I do get drawn to first.
like what
And
color?
yeah, and hers are like white.
Oh boy.
And like anytime there is a different color, that's the first thing I'll notice and start, questioning and wondering why.
So you're a big Mace
Even
Windu guy. This purple lightsaber.
yes, yeah, I actually love that. And like mostly it stems from the green one though, because like the only reason of its existence is because it wasn't visible on the Tatooine sky. They were worried that the blue wouldn't show very well, and so they made it green. And
Huh.
in that one scene, it had to be green, so they worked in a plotline reason as to why green lightsaber exists, and that was that. They invented it because it didn't show very well on camera.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so yeah, one. Nice. And yes, it's one of my favorite things is like why, to a degree, why the lightsabers are a different color as well, and both behind the scenes reasons and in universe ones. Little
So
little nerd shit.
she was Darth Vader's apprentice. Is that right? Or like Anakin's
Yeah,
apprentice?
yeah. She was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan.
Okay. And so would she show up in that Obi-Wan show then possibly as well? Like is she from that time? She would have to be.
I have no idea when the Obi-Wan show is, and
Well,
I guess.
it's like it's got to be after the Revenge of the Sith, I would imagine, right? Like after that, what is it? Order 66?
If it's after he becomes Vader, then Ahsoka wouldn't necessarily be in it because her adventures are prior to that. Like she runs around with Anakin, not Vader.
All right. Hey, time.
Hey Dave,
Travel
you
boy.
should
Time travel
unmute
boy.
yourself.
I can answer all these questions for you guys if you want.
Yep. Oh my
Well,
god.
go ahead then.
So the Obi-Wan show is set at between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope, and Ahsoka takes place. The TV show takes place after after like everything we've seen up until this point. So to answer your question, Daniel, probably just a quick pit stop on the way to film her own show, because I think that's filming this summer.
Okay.
Or something. And then to whether or not she'll show up in Obi-Wan, I don't think she can show up in Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan knew that Vader was Anakin, and she learns that in Rebels. So I don't think, and that would probably come up.
So does Rebels happen before or after Star Wars?
Rebels happens in between 3 and 4. I think it's about 5 years before A New Hope.
So it may be happening at the same time as Obi-Wan.
I think Obi-Wan happens a little bit before, or is going to happen a little bit before Rebels, because spoilers, he may show up in one episode of that, and he's already very old.
Okay.
And now the one thing I was going to say was like I'm not sure if she was going to be in one of the final episodes of Book of Boba Fett, not necessarily anything else. I thought Kenobi was before, and that's why I didn't think she would show up.
Yeah.
But if you gave me a good explanation,
goodbye.
I could see Obi-Wan going both ways of like either hiding it or outright saying it.
Yeah.
I don't know why he would hide it, but someone could convince me.
Have you seen the Rebels show, like the cartoon, the Rebels or whatever, Star Wars Rebels?
Only bits and pieces. I've seen like enough of it, and I watched a lot of the Star Wars cartoons as a child, so I have a lot of only like half-formed memories of it, and mostly I just remember liking it.
Do you know what Star Wars cartoons I had as a child? And I was like
None?
11 or something like that. I had Ewoks and droids, and they were fucking awful.
Ewoks and droids.
You're fucking looking so. We're getting Star Wars and stuff like that every goddamn Saturday. Nope, sucked. What are you gonna do? Oh, it's so.
Hey, you had the Transformers cartoon though, which like people haven't topped.
I was 10 or 11 when that came out and stuff like that. I think I had a couple of the toys maybe, but I didn't really watch much of the cartoons. So like those movies held zero interest for me. My brother was a big Transformer guy. Well, yeah, if you want. I was thinking maybe watching that Rebels. Maybe you get to see Rebels before Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out. Maybe we can talk about that if we both haven't seen it. I don't know how many. It's not as long as Droids, I don't think, right? I think it's only 4 or 5 years. They kind of nipped it in the bud. And with Ahsoka, and I know that Ahsoka's in that one too. Just different, like, yeah, all right. But yeah, droids. Oh my god! You know that I've heard that the most expensive Star Wars action figure comes from droids. It doesn't even. I don't even think it's a Kenner one. I don't know what it is, but some ugly looking dude or whatever. But I guess he costs quite a bit of money for whatever reason. Nobody bought those things. Maybe that's another thing. Nobody bought those stupid droid toys because they look like shit compared to the other ones.
So yeah, I don't know. There's so much Star Wars content coming out that I don't even know what to make of it all, and until they start showing it to me, I can't really judge most of it, because when I learned it, I was too young to form opinions on whether it was good or not. So all Star Wars is generally new to me, because it's one of the very first times I've seen it as a critic rather than just like as a child just watching glowing lights fly across the screen.
Well, yeah, like when I was a kid, like I had Star Wars. Like when I was 3 years old, the first one came out. So I've seen every Star Wars in the movie theater, except if you want to count the cartoons. I never saw that. So I had that, like I was 9 years old when Return of the Jedi came out, and so we figured that was it. And then the special editions came back out on into theaters in the late 90s and stuff like that. So yeah, I get high as shit and watch Star Wars. That was great. And then those other ones started coming out, and they were all of a sudden not as fun anymore.
I can absolutely. I started
realizing they did them for kids and not for me. But what are you gonna do?
I can absolutely guarantee I saw the entire Star Wars trilogy before I could remember things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was on television. I had definitely seen it, and it wasn't until the 4th or 5th time I had seen the series that I would have any actual memories of it. But
I'm pretty sure the first time I ever saw Star Wars at home, it was on Betamax.
And it's wild to think that I might know the "I am your father" line from Toy Story before I know it from Star Wars.
God damn it.
And yeah, that's insane. But
agreed. Agreed. Toy Story. Yeah, that's true too. That's our new slogan.
Don't be a Dan.
So, do you have any kind of predictions of what happens tonight in the season, and then the season finale? I guess it's just a season finale, right? Or they haven't said. Is this the series?
They have not said yet.
Yeah, there's no way it can be a series finale. Not if they have tied up nothing. If they just wanted to do this, they could have just said Mandalorian season 3 featuring Boba Fett. Yeah, there's unless they're doing a 2-hour movie or whatever to try and wrap things up. It's a season finale, not a series finale.
Yeah, I would even be a little upset, and I'm one of the few people who, is not complaining about Boba Fett in some way, and there's been some issues, and Star Wars fans will yell about a lot of things on the internet, whether or not they like them, and I just think that if they don't get some sort of thing, I don't think they will be able to get away with solely 7 episodes, 2 of which aren't even about Boba Fett.
Yeah. The one thing that gets me is it's Star Wars and it all takes place on a desert planet. There's no fighting in space except for until the Mandalorian showed up and he was on that cool little spinning space station and stuff like that. That was my favorite part of this entire series so far. It's just that space station and Mandalorian being there and kicking some ass with his little black lightsaber.
What if it is a movie? Like not a movie. I'm not saying the budget. I'm not saying hundreds of millions of dollars. But what if it is just 112 minutes of Boba Fett?
So like all this was leading up to a yeah, that's right. It's on TV. It's not releasing it. Like all this was leading up to a huge 2-hour climax. They wanted to like this, so they go boom and mushroom clouded at the end.
And yeah, because now I guess
there's so much stuff that happened, but
the only thing I would want if that was their intention is I would have liked an episode from the Pike perspective.
Yep.
And we get that a little bit in that episode as well. We see with no, I don't know his name.
Cad
Bago.
No,
the not Cad Bane.
I didn't know who that fucking guy was. Like he was just coming up all slow and stuff like, oh shit, who's this? Who's this? And this guy talking, it's like, oh fuck, who's this guy? And then he opens his face and it's like, I don't know who this guy is. So unless you saw the cartoons, I guess you were fucked like me.
Yeah, and like I again semi-recognized him, but I knew both of these guys were former or current bounty hunters, and then there's also a bunch of different tie-ins, I guess, and maybe if they get out of this series alive, they could be in future series of The Mandalorian, because they both seem to have old business with Din. And I don't know too much, except that I'm really excited for some cool cowboys in this Space Wizard show.
Yeah, like as soon as someone said, like I found out the name, the Cad Bane. I know that people have been talking about this guy before. And then I've seen something on one of the cartoon shows of him like against Ben Kenobi, and like he has like a jetpack or something like that, and fires 2 guns and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm here for. Like, I thought that guy, like the guy was cool. I don't know why some people are complaining that they didn't get this color of his skin exactly as the same as a goddamn cartoon show. But what are you gonna do? I thought him fucking shooting that the deputy there about 8 times or whatever it was, and kept shooting him was one of my favorite parts of that episode. So I like this guy a lot. I usually tend to like the bad guys the better, anyways. But I didn't like seeing the sheriff get shot, but it looks like, by the looks of it, you know, this guy's gonna pull through or whatever. He'll get some kind of armor out of it, I would imagine. But there's another story that has to keep that they haven't tied up. I don't know if they need to or if it's going to go forward in Mandalorian. But like, what's going to happen with the mayor? Like the mayor took off or something like that for some reason. And there's the Pike Syndicate and stuff like that to deal with. And why does Boba Fett keep control of the families or whatever? There's a lot of shit they have to get through in a 40-minute episode. So to see it getting stretched to like an hour and 15 or something like that would not be shocking to me, but I won't be finding out tonight, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and yeah, I wasn't sure what to make of it, especially, you know, as we get to the last episode. And I don't know. I know there's generally just because they did away with them earlier in the series. It does seem like there's only 3 factions now. There's the people for Boba Fett, there's the people for the Pikes, and then there's the people who just live on the planet.
Yeah, that's true.
The civvies, essentially, in this case. And then they're because they took the mayor off planet, you could bring that back later, or it was a cowardly rich person who took the escape pod, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They just got to it in time and they left, and they kind of explained that most people were abandoning Tatooine because of the Syndicate moving in anyway. So there's not a whole lot of like, I want to say ruling class, even though they're all monsters, but it's the same thing on this planet. And yeah, so I think by doing a lot of that in the middle of the series, it did leave them some space to introduce some new characters and to like flesh them out as much as you would somebody who had been here since episode 1. I'm not sure what's next, and
as soon as they flesh out a character, they
how we go. And yeah, I do think we're going to get a card, much like we did in the Loki finale, that says "See y'all in season 2."
Oh yeah.
I do think at this point we're going to be getting that.
Oh yeah, yeah. At some point, or if they, yeah, I just think there's so much they'd have to tie up or whatever that there's no way.
Yeah.
This isn't the only show we've been following, unless for some reason, once again, you have not seen the recent episode of Peacemaker.
I have seen it. I was actually just double checking to see how many episodes that has left. 2.
Okay, so there's 2 more after this. So they get this, you know, they get the spotlight to themselves for a couple of weeks anyways, so that'll be fine. What did you think of this past week? First of all, I don't know if we've talked much since when you found out what's his name was a butterfly.
Yeah, because we
for you or no?
We only covered like a lot of what we were covering was like the warehouse last week, so we didn't talk about it too much. But and then you find out in this episode when Adebayo finds out that he's a butterfly, that it's just a thing.
Yeah.
And most people just know.
It's like everybody else knew except for her and Peacemaker, and that's it.
What really surprised me of this episode was when the captain turned out not to be.
That's the thing that bugged me. Like, why did he shoot his own guys if he wasn't a bug? I don't understand that. I don't understand why. Like when Peacemaker was taking off or whatever, and he comes up behind him, it's like he shoots the one that was going to shoot him. Okay, fine, got rid of him or something like that. Why shoot the other guys and like make fun of them before he does it? Like no, and then shoot them. Like I thought for sure, like he must have been a bug, but yeah, that's the it's a comic book show. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but I just don't understand why they made the captain like that, and then him not being. I figured that they were coming to him like when all the bugs were coming through and stuff like that. It's like, okay, it's like now it's time for a plan, blah blah blah, and this guy had something else, or they were off to attack him because he was working with what's his name there, and then helping the Peacemaker and stuff like that. And I also don't understand why Goth or whatever wanted to almost seem like he wanted to be friends with Peacemaker and then go and attack this other thing and then just start this thing again. There's a couple of things or whatever story I didn't quite get, but it was still it was a fun episode. I really liked it. Eagly is one of the best fucking sidekicks of all time. Vigilante too. I love Vigilante.
I love that line. It's just like, oh damn, Eagly's hardcore. It's just like pecking a cop's eyes out. Like, Jesus. Especially after Peacemaker was telling Vigilante like to not injure these guys, to not shoot them, to not this. To watch the Eagle just claw out several dudes' faces. It's just like, okay, I guess there's just different rules when you're an Eagle.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Reason with them? Come on.
Right? You'll peck your eyes out.
Yeah, I really liked him playing Home Sweet Home on the piano. There's a bunch of good parts in this thing. It's like, again, this is just another one or whatever until the very last 5 minutes of waiting, and now we see that the butterflies are all engaged and they've taken over the police department and stuff. What can happen in the next couple of episodes and stuff. So I don't anticipate any other Suicide Squad people coming in or anything like that. So it's going to be down to these 4, I guess 5. What do you think? What did I say? What would be a satisfying end to this series for you?
That is an interesting question. I don't know what the thing with the butterflies is yet. Like,
right.
Why?
Well,
it seems they don't need the hosts. That's what's curious in this episode.
Little spaceships and stuff. And they've got a cow making their amber or whatever it is, their honey stuff. One
and
cow.
Yes, were the spaceship ones from like all around the planet, or were they from? I'm not sure. That's something worth wondering about, but I don't actually know.
They can't be too far away and stuff. There's no way that they'd be able just to kind of swoop in as soon as Goff jumps into that other into that cop or whatever. If they were on their home planet, you wouldn't imagine they'd be able to get there that fast and stuff like that. But maybe it's as a send off a homing beacon or something like that. I don't know. We're trying to find out the science and stuff like that of a comic book show. So you have to kind of throw logic out the window a little bit for it and just relax and have fun. Like trying to figure out the reasoning behind it all isn't going to work. But I do wonder what the butterfly story has in store, because you wouldn't think that this could be a long running. Would you think this could be a long running thread for the series, or if they're going to bottle each season into separate parts, like have the butterflies and then on to something else next season? What do you see happening?
Well, that one's curious because James Gunn has said that he is taking a break after this.
Mm-hmm.
He does not intend to make a Peacemaker season 2, at least at this current moment. He has no intentions to expand on other Suicide Squad characters. And he still needs to go do Guardians 3, finish that, along with a holiday special and an animated Groot show, all of which those things are for Marvel. So
does Peacemaker make it through? You think they kill off Peacemaker? They did it once.
That could be interesting. And it's a Suicide Squad staple at this point.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. But I could see him becoming a character on a different show. And I could see this as a jumping off point, although it's disappointing because she hasn't been in it. But maybe they're saving some of that to kind of introduce an Amanda Waller show.
Right.
And I think you could, like, she's a behind the scenes figure in this one. If she was a front facing figure in the next one and then the main character in a third series, you could flesh out this Amanda Waller character that we've been creating in the Suicide Squads and the put them on Legends of Tomorrow. I'm pretty sure those are different universes, but also I would kill to see John Cena on the Wave Rider.
You think that John Cena would be like the third guy, even the first guy on like a show like that? I don't see it. I think that he's gotten what he needed out of Peacemaker and stuff like that. He got a movie, he got his own show, he's got more credibility, I guess, for as an actor now. And well, we already knew that he could do comedies and stuff like that, and he can do action. Does he need more from Peacemaker? I don't see why, but it would suck. Like, I would love to see another season, but would you trust Peacemaker to be written like season 2? Would you trust someone else other than James Gunn to do it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Like, people directing some of the episodes is different than coming up with the idea, writing it, getting it off the ground, and then coming in to close it as well.
True. And that not knowing Gunn's process, it's hard to say one way or the other. And like how much of his team is involved.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look at like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and they had such a large team that any given episode could be more someone else's baby than it was like everybody took turns writing what they thought was important, and everybody was given kind of turns as the lead. But when you're looking at a continuation of a movie he wrote and directed, you can imagine that James Gunn was a lot more heavily involved in this process.
Yeah, like Whedon was basically off of Buffy after season, what was it, season 3 or season 4. He was still like the executive producer and stuff, but he was
at least
devoting his time to Angel more than
at least after 3, because that's
Right.
when he does Angel.
Yeah, and then Marty Noxon took over more of the day-to-day role on the show. But I don't know if he's comfortable doing something like that, or if Marvel would be comfortable with him doing something like that too, getting back into the Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you want him to be splitting his time with DC and stuff? Who knows? I have no idea.
Yeah,
and I'm not an executive. God damn it! What are the reasons?
I'm in. If they want to give me more, I'll watch more. But I would kind of just as much prefer they kind of move away from Peacemaker himself and just move into just a DC villainous world where you could have Amanda Waller as either the main point or a constant antagonist to all of these characters. And just, we don't need 7 seasons of Peacemaker. What we do need is a 7 good DC series. That's what we want.
I preferred this series to any of the movies I've seen, including Suicide Squad, which I did. The Suicide Squad, which I liked. I did like the movie. It wasn't, I didn't, stand up and shout or anything like that, but I enjoyed it. I would take the way they're doing this series over, like if they wanted to do more Wonder Woman and stuff like that, I'd love a TV series more forward and stuff like that. I just don't want to ever see another kind of Justice League style movie where it's 3 hours long and nobody has any fun. I want to see, it's still comic book. I do like having people smile every once in a while and have a good time. And then Peacemaker has a good time. Might have a good time killing people. Well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So we've got one more thing for today. Our main topic. We went a little long with the Peacemaker, but I actually it was fine because I didn't realize these episodes were 30 minutes and not hour-longs.
Mm-hmm.
And an hour-long show might have taken longer to cover, but we're going to be talking a little bit of Murderville. And
you gotta be careful because you've only seen the first episode, right?
Yes, and I've seen like literally 30 seconds of the Marshawn Lynch one.
So good. It's
so
good.
Yeah, if we go into those ones, we will just kind of talk about the guests themselves, kind of stay away from the case or anything.
Sure.
And but for episode 1, we are going to be talking about anything that you found interesting in the episode. So if anybody in the chat hasn't watched Murderville and has interest in watching it, you don't want to be here. And anybody,
we won't say if they figure out. We can give the premise. The premise of the show is every week new. Okay, we'll start with Will Arnett plays a cop named a homicide detective named Terry Seattle, and every week his chief, who happens to be his ex-wife, gives him a new partner. These new partners are all celebrities. They don't say anything, that they have no idea who they are or whatever like that, just the name and stuff like that. Like he's a homicide trainee for the first episode, Conan O'Brien. And they have no idea. Like it's based on a British show called Murder in Successville. And in Murder in Successville is a town just filled with celebrities. So to have a star come on the show, it isn't that big a deal or whatever, because everybody on the show is a celebrity. Like the guy who plays the chief on Murder in Successville is doing an imitation of Gordon Ramsay. Their ballistics person is Taylor Swift. So they just use and stuff like that. So that's how they can use the celebrities in Murder and Successful. In Murderville, they just say, here's a guy, and they don't really go into it or whatever at all. Like they ask Conan or whatever what he does, and he says, "Oh, I've been an entertainer." And he says, "Really?" And that's about it. That's as deep as it goes. But every week every episode there's a murder, and the guest stars that come on the show have a choice of three suspects. They all give certain clues. They're like at the murder scene, they're given a set of clues, and each suspect they talk to is either going to prove themselves guilty or prove themselves innocent. By the end of the episode, the guest star has to come up with the actual like who did it. Some do, some don't. That's all I'm going to say. But Will Arnett, the rest of the cast, all have a script to go by. The guest stars don't. And they have to rely on improv skills. And Conan O'Brien isn't an actor. But of course, he's done so many sketches and stuff like that. And he's written so much, and he has such a sharp comedic mind. He fit in with this perfectly. And that him and Will Arnett are pretty good friends in real life, I think also helped her. So there was that chemistry between them already. But as this show goes forward, as you watch episodes, like Daniel, I'm not kidding, how good Marshawn Lynch is in this show. Incredible for a running back, for a jock. He is fantastic. The entire supporting cast or whatever is good. There's a character named Daz, and there's stuff that happens with the chief, and there's all this kind of stuff that's going on. It has its own little world going on. It, like, when I first saw it, I was thinking, like, is it going to be the same murder? You know what I mean? And just have a different different guest come in and stuff like that, and have to figure out the same murder. Like the first one we saw was about the lady getting cut in half, right?
Yeah,
with the magic trick. So I figured, okay, that's the murder. And now they have to go through it. Like these guys all have a script. It's the same script or something like that. So I thought maybe that's a way that they could all play off of this thing. But no, it's 6 separate murders. There's 6 separate stories going on. And so they have, they all have their own opportunity to shine and stuff like that. Like, it won't be, oh, this guy sold it faster than this person, it is, I have a thing about people breaking character on improv shows like Saturday Night Live and stuff like that, whereas some people hate it, but I friggin' love it. I think it's the funniest bit when people start laughing. I think laughter is goddamn contagious. So there's a couple of breaks, and you can see it in them and stuff like that. And you can see Will Arnett hiding it behind his mustache and his hand a few times, but him breaking. But every time he does, I laugh so hard I cry. One of my favorite shows, and again, it all came out 6 episodes at once. Boom. It's like, God damn it. Again, I wish they would have done it so, once a week. Just so you have something more to look forward to, because I've seen it. Now I have to watch it again. But thank God I found Murder in Successville on YouTube, so you can watch it for free. To tide me over until hopefully it doesn't take a year for another batch of these to come out. You wouldn't think so. It wasn't like they spent millions and millions of dollars on this. They had like 3 or 4 sets, and that's about it. Yeah.
Plus, I believe they put out, it's something about 9,400,000 episodes of NCIS every year. So they clearly have a pretty quick turnaround on procedurals.
Yeah, well, and this one's only half as long, and one of them you don't have to write anything for. You only have to write for 3 or 4 years.
You only need to write one of the characters, yeah.
Your second lead gets no lines.
Season 2 idea. Season 2's idea is Will Arnett improvs now too. Now we don't write either character. We just write the plot.
And there's so many people they can get on. There's so many. Like, I was, Sharon Stone is on one of the episodes. I was pretty shocked when I saw she was on the lineup. I didn't know that she was going to be on. Of course, Camille Nanjiani is so fucking good. That episode is so good. But I was blown away by Marshawn Lynch. Honestly, I was blown away. It was so funny.
And yes, the one like gripe that I might have is it's actually not even about the show. It's about the Conan O'Brien, basically, of it not being. I would rather it be actual Conan O'Brien, or if it was a character that they've created. That the him just being an entertainer was a little disappointing to me. When you could like either make him Conan O'Brien, host of this late night talk show, or make him the Conan O'Brien of the Murderville universe. And so maybe his name is different and maybe his show is called something different, but like kind of like a South Park version.
This is how the English version gets it. Like they just said, okay, yeah, everybody in this town's a celebrity. Everybody. Mm-hmm. So that when somebody shows up, you know that it's them because they're a celebrity.
And yeah, mostly
like Alan and Jimmy Carr in one of
mostly the reason I wanted this was because I watched the first episode and I thought, who would be great for this? Because he does an improv comedy podcast all the time, and also friends with Scott Aukerman, so he does the Comedy Bang Bang and all of those things. This little guy called Nathan Fillion, who kind of played a detective called Castle for years and years and years.
Yeah, he'd be great.
And I can't decide which is funnier. If Nathan Fillion shows up on the show and helps this guy solve the case as a guy who's played a detective for years and years, mm-hmm. or if Richard Castle shows up and tries to help this guy solve a murder. Like, both work. And yeah. I wish they had jumped in from the beginning with both feet so that down the line they could tell this one Nathan Fillion joke in my case. But, just have more fun with it.
Yeah, watch the rest of the episodes. I'm not sure that can't happen. I think it's just because of the way Conan did it or whatever. I don't like when they talked to Ken Jeong and stuff. They said it's like I was a doctor and I became an actor and all this other stuff. So he just doesn't list off their credits. That's all. Mm-hmm. Patrick Harris would be great. Jason
Harris.
Jason Mantzoukas would be fucking phenomenal.
Jason Mantzoukas reveals.
I put another athlete in there. Peyton Manning would be great. There's all kinds of different people that they can get on there. I guess it'd be a little awkward with Amy Poehler in there, but maybe Tina Fey or something like that would be great too.
Jason Mantzoukas needs to reveal that he was the murderer. And during his big speech, he's got this whole like, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to be right or wanted to get away with the murder.
Just put the switch in on Arnett. Let everybody in on it at the end except for Arnett. Just to get him to break.
Yeah. So, did you get it? Did you get it?
I think I got most of them. There's a couple I didn't get. But, I rewatched the first episode today and stuff like that and said the clues are there. Yeah. Like, if you pay attention, you're going to get it. I just wasn't paying all that. I was more like watching Conan, seeing how Conan was doing in this world and stuff like that. So afterwards, like I was like, oh, okay, I see where they said this. Oh, okay, I see where they didn't do this. Then you get it. Okay, all right. So like when you're watching it through the first time, you have to decide: do you want to watch the actor, the guest host, or do you want to watch the story? Maybe it makes for a fun second watch and stuff like that, where you can say, "Oh, I get it." So I'd rather watch the performance than know the actual story of the It's basically a half-hour game show or something like that featuring famous people. But I love the Terry Seattle story arc in it with him and his wife and stuff. It's so good. It is so good. I just wish there was more.
And yeah, I'm curious to see, like, I'm gonna follow along, and maybe I'll let you know as I'm watching them, and I'll just be like, I think it's this person, because I do kind of want to know what my success rate is by the end of it. I've always been very fond of my skills in Clue, so especially if they're going to give me a Clue version, like I will sit around and try and figure it out as everybody else going along. And yeah, like I caught on to the fingerprints, and I caught on to the like the fact that everything was locked. And I was mostly guessing, but of the three suspects, the only one that made sense was the one that ended up doing it. So I was actually really, really happy with my first guess.
Yeah.
But I also figure they put an easy one out front.
They did. They did.
Yeah.
Well, it was easy. I felt it was easier. Yeah, they get a little more involved as it goes forward, for sure. Not like super involved. They're not gonna make, it's still an actor or a football player, that has to solve this crime. So they're not gonna go crazy over it and stuff like that. But I think it's a little tougher for them going forward than from the first episode. I think the first episode you dip your toe in and stuff like that, and it's like, this is what the world is, and now we can go a little bit more.
And anybody out there in the chat, or if you have any other suggestions for some people who should be on this show?
I don't, you know what? I'm trying to think of being Canadian, I'm trying to think of a hockey player that'd be able to do the show, but they're all so bland. There's
a lot of them are, yeah.
Yeah, the only person I could see maybe would be Ryan Reeves from the Rangers. I wouldn't be, or I just don't know too many. There isn't too many hockey players with any kind of personality.
A great answer would be PK Subban.
PK Subban would be able to do it.
Yeah.
And be entertaining on the show.
Yes, and that is because a lot of hockey players tend to be reserved or bland, which there's not a big range between those two.
One thing I will say, when Wayne Gretzky was on Saturday Night Live, I don't know how long ago it was, a long time ago, he was funny. There were some funny bits to that. So maybe Gretzky or somebody could do it, but
but like Gretzky is wooden on a show about hockey at the moment. Like it's so hard, especially with some of those guys, because they literally spend 35 years not being a human. They spend all of that time being an athlete, robot, super person. And by the end of it, like, you don't have people skills. And you also have way too much money that at this point, you don't need to develop them. So you end up with so many, and for some reason it happens more in hockey. Maybe it is the focus on the team, where even in football and basketball, they have a very individual focus, which is where you get people who are characters.
Here's another, okay, you were saying basketball, I didn't even think. How would Shaquille O'Neal do on that show?
Mm-hmm.
I think Shaquille O'Neal would be great on the show.
Yeah, and I can't even think of them. Like, I know there are like 3 or 4 basketball players that are just golden slam dunks, but I can't think of their names currently because I'm not much of a basketball viewer.
Here's another one. Dame Judi Dench.
Yes.
Should be fantastic.
What's his name? Andy Samberg.
Samberg would be great.
Yeah.
Just after
I think that might be cheating, though.
I think after the Marshawn Lynch episode, I think the the ones that would, the ones that you wouldn't think have the chops are going to be the ones that surprise you the most because, like I said, it's so good. He is so good.
He's one of my favorite things. One of my favorite guest stars in a TV show from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where he's just the cold open and he just is eating a thing and there's a crime going on behind him.
Yep.
And but yeah, so honestly, I'm very excited for this show. I'll probably be done it by next week, as you are now, and maybe into Successville at that point. But it's about the time that we got to be wrapping up. So I would like to ask everybody who stuck around if you could just, like this video, if you could subscribe to our channel if you're not subscribed. And with that, you'll actually be gaining access to all the other amazing people of the Northern Entertainment Group that aren't just us two assholes sitting here talking about television. But you could find, if you want to talk about wrestling, if you want to talk about movies, if you want to talk about Doctor Who specifically, just almost anything in and under the sun, you head on over to Northern Entertainment Group and just look for things with Ben in them, and you'll get all of our shows.
He's in everyone.
So where can people find you?
He's dressed up as somebody else.
Where can people find you, Rob?
Find me here every Tuesday at Snark Yeti on Twitter if you want to see how I did on Wordle that day, or if you want to see me like or retweet things from this channel. Once in a while, I'll show up on one of our other shows, such as Sunday Unwind. Things moving into Schmodown season now, so we'll see if I pop up in any other things. If they want some dumbass who doesn't know anything or whatever to show up, that'll be me. How about you, Ben? Dan?
Pretty much the same. You can find me at a slightly different handle. Obviously, I'm at Corrupted Canuck, not at Snark Yeti. But no, I'm just around. The one thing I did want to mention, other than just plugging random things of mine, I wanted to give people watching the video the opportunity to, since Peacemaker and Boba Fett will be ending in the next 2 weeks, pick that next show that we should be watching week to week and covering on our second segment. If you've got a great idea, or if there's something particular coming out that us as a crew and as an audience could watch together, let us know. Throw it in the comments of this video. Tweet it at me randomly on Twitter. That's also fine. And we'll figure something out. And if not, we'll go with a couple of backup plans we've already been working behind the scenes. But until then, I will not announce one until we get some suggestions.
That's true. All right, fine.
And yeah, so for me, for Snark, for Dave in the back, and for the rest of the Northern Entertainment Group, have a good night, everybody, and see you next week.
Adieu.